In this lecture, let's talk about how to draw the process flowcharting. The process flowchart is basically a diagram that's composed of blocks that are connected by arrows. And each block contains the information of a single step in a process. So as you can see on the diagram, each box contains the activity, such as pick the item up, or throw away, or keep. And the lines you see here are called flow lines, which indicates the flow of the step. So if you look at the arrow, it means that you go from start to pick up the item. So flow charting is very useful when we have a very complicated process. And for the simple processes that we have seen, it's easy to describe the process in a few sentences. But when the process becomes very complicated, it's easier for us to visualize the whole process using a flow chart. And that's when the flow charting becomes very powerful and can make the process clear and concise. So now I want to talk about some flow charting standards. So actually, there are many standards there about what symbols to use and what does each symbol mean. For example, these are some of the commonly used symbols, like the flow line, and this shape means a terminal, for example, start or stop. And you can look at other symbols as well. However, in this class, when we do process understanding or flow charting, we are not going to use all these symbols. So we want to just make our life easy by using just a simple square. And here are some steps on how to make a flow chart. So first, we need to map out the major steps, meaning we need to list all the major steps that are involved in our process. And then we add details into these main blocks. And then we go through the whole process again and validate whether it makes sense and whether we need to add other details inside. So as I said, we want to make it easy for the flow charting, so we just use simple rectangular or square blocks and flow lines to make the flow chart. For example, in the counting procedure, so if we count 1, 2, 3, 4 until 10, if we want to represent this process using a flow chart, it should look like this, right? We begin with a count with the value 1, and every time when the count is still smaller than 1, we add 1 onto this count, right? So this is the iteration. And when the count reaches to 10, it will stop the process. So this is a very simple illustration of what we can do with this flow chart by making by just using the rectangular boxes. So when you make the flow chart, you can just use paper and pen, or you can use your PowerPoint to make those graphs, but you can also use a tool called Lucid chart. So you can log in to this web page, and then you can get some free pages to draw the flow chart. And here I want to further illustrate how we can draw the flow chart based on the examples that we have seen. So this example comes from our previous lecture on we ask the user to input a number, and if it's a prime number, then we have a message saying that it's a prime number. Otherwise, the message will show that it's not a prime number. So if we want to represent this process on a flowchart, it looks like this. So we start, and then with the activity, the user inputs a number, and this is our decision point, whether it's prime number or not. If it's yes, then we display the message of it is a prime number. If it's not a prime number, we display another message. And then we reach to the end of the process. Okay, so I hope that this short video can give you an overview of the process flowcharting, and it will become very useful when we reach to the later lectures on more complicated processes.